Can you hear that? This lake is completely frozen, as are my hands, so we're going to do this film quickly. Today we're doing a film that we've all been waiting for, the filters for the DJI Mini 2. They also work on the DJI Mavic Mini, and I have been using them for over a year, so I do know what I'm talking about. They're fantastic filters. They're from Freewell. This is the 8-box set, which has your classic ND filters, your CPL, and your hybrid CPL ND filters. Now, you're going to ask me straight away, Phil, what do I need one of these? And probably the second question is, do they work well? Because I've heard there might be problems. Right, first thing, ND filters. What they do is they limit the amount of sun, the light, coming through your lens, hitting your sensor. And why we use them is basically so that we can stick to the standard cinematic Hollywood 180-degree angle rule, which basically states that if you have a frame rate of 25, like we do in Europe, you're going to double your shutter speed to 1/50th. That will make sure that you have very nice, smooth motion blur. If you don't, and for example, you have a frame rate of 25 and your shutter speed isn't 1/50th, but it's 1/200, 1/400, you're going to have very sharp, unrealistic looking images, which have very little motion blur. There are moments in a cinematographer's life where you would choose to do this. There are films like Saving Private Ryan, the famous scene on the beach, or Man on Fire, where they use different shutter speeds. They either slow them down, they crank them up, and that is basically a cinematographer's choice. It's a tool that you can use to change the look, the feel of your image. Today we're talking about keeping standard. So the double, the frame rate, shutter speed rule, 180-degree rule. So that is one thing that the ND does. CPL, what the CPL is going to do is that it's going to pop the blue in the sky. So if you turn it, a CPL is a circular polarizer. If you turn it, you're going to see that the sky darkens, it kind of pops, that blue really comes out at you. It's really beautiful. And another thing a CPL does is it gets rid of reflections. So it's used a lot in like when you've got windows or car photography, cinematography. But it's also going to get rid of reflections on the water. It's going to get rid of reflections on windows, on various objects that aren't metal. It won't get rid of reflections on metal. But we also have CPL ND filters in here, which are hybrid filters. So that means that they are going to limit the amount of light going through the Mini lens onto the sensor, so you can keep with 180-degree rule and get motion blur that is natural and looks really smooth. And you're going to pop the skies, and you're going to get rid of reflections in the water. If you're in Barbados or somewhere and you want to see through the water, you want to see the, stingrays or whatever you guys are looking for, you should be able to do that by turning that CPL on your ND filter, which you're going to need if you're in Barbados, and probably a ND 64 or a 32 if there are a few clouds in the sky. I'm going to get to the question that a lot of you have been asking. Are there any problems with filters like this on the Mavic Mini or the DJI Mini 2? It's user error. It's basically user error. If you don't attach these properly and securely and make sure they're flush, your gimbal could go crazy, or you'll get vignetting, especially vignetting with the hybrid filters, because it's basically just a small little round hole that your lens is looking through. So you've got to make sure that they're attached very well. So for example, today is I would say we're going to need a ND4 looking at the sky. The way you use these is that you get your little gimbal lens, make sure that your camera, your drone is off, or else it will fight you. You get it off and you pull it down, and you're going to see these little grooves at the back. On your filter, you're going to have these two little kind of like teeth, and you're going to put them in the grooves right there, nice and carefully. Make sure you don't touch any of the glass, and you're just going to pop it down right there. Now you're going to make sure it's all flush all around. It's nicely on. You can see the camera through the actual filter, and that is it. That is basically it. Now, when you turn it on, it's going to do its thing. There we go. There we go. All ready. And that is fine. If you want added security, you can go and do the advanced gimbal calibration thing, and it will calibrate your gimbal, but I never have to do that. But if you want, you can do it, and it works fine. So that is how you use it. That's what you do with it. And just make sure it's on there properly, or else your gimbal could get in the sky and it's going to start doing this. And you don't want that. That is user error every single time. Right, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to fly through the trees right here at high shutter speed. And I'm going to fly through them at a standard, like the 180-degree rule. And I'm going to freeze the frame, and you're going to see exactly what I mean by natural motion blur. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get them in the sky, and I'm going to show you the blue in the sky with the CPL, and I'm going to show you blue in the sky without the CPL. One more point for you people. I hope this isn't going to be a long film. If you don't know what ND filter to put on, it is really very, very simple. Get your ND filter on, turn on your drone, and look at the sky. All we have to do is look at the sky. So we're going to look up, and everything kind of here looks nice. And I'm going to look up, and I'm going to look around, and I can see the blue in the sky. Yep, ISO 100, shutter speed of 50, and that looks good. If it's too dark or if it's too light, stick on another filter until you feel it's right. I hope it was all well explained. If it wasn't, just drop a comment below. I will do my best to answer any questions you have. If you'd like my film, give it a like, and if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do, because there's a ton more coming. And I'm just gonna just leisurely land him on the ice. Should we see if we can do that? Ooh. That's the end of the film, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great day.